Hi, welcome to day 2 of the 2025 AFL trade period. In this video, I want to touch on Ben Ainsworth. Now, we did touch on him last night in day 1 of Trade TV, but it was very short and it was very brief. And in this video, I really want to unpack absolutely everything there is to do with Ben Ainsworth pertaining to a potential Carlton move. Now, this really starts with 2 pieces of media. The first is a report that Carlton has emerged as a potential suitor or a club that might be of interest for Ben Ainsworth. And then secondly, we saw this position and this quote from the Gold Coast Suns.
And what about Ben Ainsworth, who is exploring his trade options, got 3 years to go on his deal? Are you open to letting him move if the right deal comes?
It would have to be a good deal for us. So Ben's a valued member of our footy club. As he said, he is contracted. It's really early stages in all of this, so we're not uncomfortable that he's explored, but we're also comfortable keeping Ben, if that makes sense.
So just to unpack it, who is Ben Ainsworth? Well, we're talking about a 27-year-old player for the Gold Coast Suns. He's born on the 10th of February 1998, 178 centimetres tall. He's played 158 games. Now, 24 of those came this season, so already there's a tick there when it comes to availability, which is always an important aspect when thinking about things from a Carlton lens. So really what he is, we're talking about a crafty half-forward player who's also a vital link in the chain between the midfield and the forward line. And I think that is clearly where there would be any interest in a conversation around Ben Ainsworth. His running ability and also his set shot accuracy are seen as strengths of his. And in 2025, he delivered a reasonably consistent output. He's not an elite accumulator of possession, but he is a reliable contributor nonetheless, especially in forward line setups and in transition, which again is a weakness at this point for Carlton. Now, it must be said, he is a contracted player. So if we circle back to the 21st of July, 2024, he signed a 4-year contract extension. So that keeps him at the Gold Coast Suns until 2028. But as we've seen really this year, and I think this year more than any year, these contracts don't seem to mean anything. And also with an impending position of Charlie Curnow, where I'm not suggesting that Charlie Curnow is going to be traded to the Gold Coast Suns in a package for Ben Ainsworth. It seems like the Charlie Curnow to Gold Coast Suns talk has all but died, and it seems to be a Geelong and Sydney question. But Ben Ainsworth is still a player that could be of use to Carlton, especially given that we have struggled with the small forward position. We've struggled to find reliable, high IQ players in our forward line. It was really dysfunctional in 2025, let's be honest. And so that's where I see the vision, and that's where I see interest in Ben Ainsworth. This is actually not the first time that there has been interest in Ben Ainsworth. And if I look at a potential role for him, well, it really just sits on that half-forward flank. As I said earlier, his running ability really helps him push up the ground and really assist with the link-up play in transition. And really, we lack someone in our forward line who can both finish, hit the scoreboard consistently, but also push up the ground. Now, Ben Ainsworth is a guy that averages around about a goal a game. He kicked 23 goals in 2025, and he's kicked 20 or more goals in 3 seasons in his career to date. So from that point of view, it's modest. It doesn't light me up. And this whole conversation around him doesn't exactly light me up. But maybe that's exactly what the Carlton Football Club needs at this point. Can we find some reliable, durable, flexible players, and also players with experience that can help improve the overall team performance? The challenges here and the risks here, we've spoken about what his strengths are, but ultimately he's not a high accumulator of possession. He's also not a great pressure forward. Now, that might be the positive because we seem to have plenty of forwards who are tasked with applying pressure. It'd be nice if we had one that had an eye for a goal or had an eye for offensive play. But the bottom line is Michael Voss's system is defense first. So that is not really a Ben Ainsworth type player, unless we were going to change the strategy and start bringing in certain players who have an offensive mind first before a defensive mind, especially in the forward line. Now, we spoke about him last night on Trade TV with Pommy, and this is really where the conversation led.
It's fascinating because Ben Ainsworth is a very similar to that. This guy doesn't defend. He's more of a finisher. He's more of a provider. he's one of them ones that, dare I say it, he's in the purview of limited role behind players that are better than him, but keeps doing it. 24 games this year. He's kind of that third most respected forward in that line. My reservation for Carlton is, when was the last time we took someone aside from George Hewitt that was on the outer of the elite panel that we made better? And his numbers track to say, okay, if he was the main man, goal a game, that's a good little bog standard, considering that you're the fourth most targeted. You distribute it pretty well as well. My reservation is this has to be cheap. This has to be cheap, and then I'm in it, because we do need someone that's all one way, not defensive. But it doesn't excite me, if you know what I mean. I can understand the appeal. I've seen us linked with worse players. I query, can he get better? And I don't see... When I looked at George Hewitt's numbers, I could see him getting better. Right. This one doesn't scream gets better.
I guess I want a little bit of wow factor. I understand that I need to stop thinking about this from a big fish point of view, but I do think this guy's a pretty handy player. I also do think he's had to adjust the way he's played under Damien Hardwick's system, so much so that it's been acknowledged by the Gold Coast Suns, especially when he recommitted in 2024. There was a note here that said that his progress this year learning a new system has been terrific, and he will only become a more valuable player for us in the future. So that was when he had re-signed last year. So yeah, what do you think? Is this worthy of a move? Is this worthy of I mean, it's worthy of a discussion. I just don't know. I'm not sold. The other pieces I can kind of make sense with. This one I'm not so sure. We'll chat to you in the comments. We'll have a discussion around it, and we'll go from there.